What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Got some information, some recent developments on the Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua undisputed heavyweight title matchup. As we know, this past weekend, Eddie Hearn was hitting and winking his eye in several interviews, saying that once again, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury is close on the 1 yard line, about to put it in for the touchdown. And he actually even came out with a date. He leaked that to Michael Benson, who was a prominent UK boxing columnist in the UK, and said that the fight is going to take place on August the 14th. And now that won't be a hindrance to Anthony Joshua's trainer, Robert McCracken, who is also the UK's Olympic coach. And Olympics will be over by the time that fight takes place, so he will be able to work the corner of unified heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua. Eddie Hearn also said that, look, the fight's been done for 3 weeks. You know, it's been done. Both parties have agreed to the terms of the contract. It's a done deal. It's just a matter of the lawyers looking over the contract. He's been saying that for like 2 or 3 weeks, if you just watch and pay attention. He's been saying that. I don't know how long it takes the lawyers to look over a contract. That contract must be massive. It must be a long, big, long, a lot of pages in that contract. That contract must be like an encyclopedia. You got to look through all that, huh? That's a lot of pages you got to look through taking this long. Don't take this long. You paying these lawyers top dollars, and it's taking them this long to look over a contract. That means you coming out the pocket, man. You know these lawyers charge high fees anyway, and if they dragging their feet, you know, trying to get more money out of it, you need to be getting on them lawyers. If that's the case, it shouldn't take this long. But anyway, Eddie Hearn is out here saying that the lawyers are looking over, and it's just a matter of when, not if, the fight takes place. Now check this out. Frank Warren, CEO of Queensberry Promotions, also Tyson Fury's UK promoter. Bob Arum is Tyson Fury's United States promoter. So he did a video interview with Second Outs, and he contradicted pretty much everything that Eddie Hearn said. He said both parties have not agreed to the terms of the contract. He said he can't speak for Anthony Joshua and his team. He don't know what's going on that side, but as far as his team goes, him and Tyson Fury, Bob Arum, MTK Global, they are not satisfied with the terms because the money that they're looking at is not guaranteed. Until that money is guaranteed, that's when they'll be able to say the fight is done and they'll be able to sign the contract. But he said the money is not guaranteed. This is basically what killed the Manny Pacquiao-Terence Crawford fight, especially when it got down to Terence Crawford and his team. They didn't want to sign because they couldn't show proof of funds. Proof of funds, man, that was a term that got brought out when Deontay Wilder actually offered Anthony Joshua a $50 million deal to fight in Las Vegas in a 50-50 pay-per-view split. And Eddie Hearn and his dad, Barry Hearn, was out here talking about proof of funds, and you got to show me proof of funds like Al Heyman is some two-bit promoter, when this guy's put on the 2 biggest fights in boxing history. Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Conor McGregor. But he ain't got $50 million to put up for a fight. He ain't got investors that have seen his work, that knows that he produces big fights on a high level. They won't put up $50 million. When, like I said, Mayweather versus Pacquiao did $450 million revenue, and Mayweather versus Conor McGregor did $430 million revenue. But they can't come up with $50 million. You let Eddie and Barry tell it. Crazy, it makes no sense. But you know, the UK fanboys and UK followers following that cult leader Eddie Hearn, believing everything that comes out of his mouth, and he basically saying a guy from Alabama ain't got $50 million, like he gonna come out the pocket himself, like he ain't got people behind him willing to put the money up like Al Heyman. Makes no sense, but you guys was falling for the okie doke that they were saying, man. You believe in everything he says, but that's neither here nor there. The fight's not close, the fight's not done. Eddie Hearn was out here spreading propaganda again in the build-up of the Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders fight, basically saying that there's nothing to see here. This fight is a done deal. It's been a done deal. What Bob Arum and Frank Warren are saying is they just old men that's just basically trying to shit on the fight, and they don't know that I'm basically got the fight over the line, and I'm just waiting on the lawyers to give me the okay on it, and we're gonna announce it in the coming days. It's basically what Eddie Hearn said. But Frank Warren saying, look, I ain't trying to be no hater, but what he's saying ain't true. Maybe his side is happy with the terms, but he's saying both sides have agreed to the terms. We haven't agreed to anything. Until we satisfied with the guarantee of the money being there, Tyson Fury say he's got to be satisfied that the money is going to actually be there. So when you're dealing with these Saudi investors, there's been a lot of times that they've been saying they're going to put on a big fight, and when it got down to it, they didn't have proof of funds, and that's why the fight didn't get pushed over the line. That's happened in several fights. Everybody want to talk about Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz, the rematch, how the fight got done with a $60 million fight site fee. That's one of the rare occasions that a fight actually got done in the Middle East. But the Middle East has been saying for many years previous to Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz that they was like, oh yeah, we got the money, come on over here. We want to put on a big fight over here. And pretty much time after times, it fell through. But finally, Eddie Hearn, give him credit on that. He was able to get a big fight over there. He was able to get them to produce proof of funds and guarantee that money for the Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz 2, and the fight went off in Saudi Arabia. And then they had a fight on a smaller scale when Amir Khan fought Billy Deal. They fought over there, and you know, I'm sure Amir Khan made a couple of million for that fight, and Billy Deal might have made $500,000, something like that. They was able to put on a fight over there on a smaller scale. But when you're talking about these big fights, these major fights, these transcendent fights, Saudi Arabia and the Middle East have failed to come up with the proof of funds and show the money and show proof of the money to the entities that are trying to put on that fight and try to promote that fight. Time after time after time, they've failed to do that. And this might be no different. Maybe Eddie Hearn, who was the only guy that seemed to be able to pull off a fight over there in the Saudi Arabia, a major fight, they got him leading in the negotiation in this regard. So maybe if anybody, like I said, I do agree with Ed on this one. If anybody gonna be able to pull this off, it's him, because he's the only one that seemed to be able to pull off a big fight over there in the Middle East, and nobody else is able to pull off a big fight. Bob Arum would deal with them on multiple occasions trying to put big fights over there in the Middle East, and they've failed to show proof of funds to Bob Arum. Bob Arum has ended up have to go into another direction, and Bob Arum is probably thinking about those failed attempts on other occasions, past occasions, and he's thinking about this might be this, more of the same, when dealing with the Saudi Arabia investors. That's why he might be willing to move around, leave, and say, look here, I'd have been to this rodeo. I've seen this movie before. They gonna be promising the world, but when they get down to it, they're not gonna be able to come up with the results. They're not gonna be able to show proof of the funds. So let's just move on before Tyson Fury get any more rustier than he already is. And he's been out the ring for going on well over a year now. So we need to get him in the ring by July. So let's revisit the Deontay Wilder fight. Anthony Joshua fights Alexander Usyk again. And then we revisit this fight at the end of 2021 when the pandemic is more under control. And then they might be able to come up with the amount of money and guarantee the amount of money that both parties are satisfied with. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. But again, Eddie Hearn says one thing, and he's Anthony Joshua's promoter, and Tyson Fury promoter says another. He says, not so fast, my friend. It's nothing done yet. We haven't agreed to any of the terms of the contract because we don't know if the money's going to be there. Y'all got to guarantee that the money's going to be there. Once y'all guarantee the money's going to be there, we'll sign the contract. He did say that the date of August 14th is a more realistic date. He basically, when Eddie Hearn was talking about August 7th and July 24th and July 31st, he's basically saying ain't no way that fight's gonna happen because Anthony Joshua's trainer ain't gonna be able to work his cone because he's gonna be still involved in the Olympics, working with the UK amateur boxing Olympic team. But now that this get pushed back to 14, it seemed to me that Frank Warren was signed off on that, saying that's a more realistic date. But again, they want to be able to see proof of funds, and right now, as of right now, they haven't got that solidified yet as far as they're concerned. They don't have a guarantee that they feel comfortable with. They're not happy about the lack of proof of the money actually being there, and they want that before they're let their #1 fighter, Tyson Fury, sign that contract. So let me know your thoughts and hit the like button if you like the content of this video, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, and I'll holler.